The Fairly OddParents was my absolute favorite childhood show. It was creative, funny, and an absolute delight to watch. Its first 3 seasons still hold up to this day as fantastic television, but after 10 seasons, multiple reboots, and a severe decline in quality as they desperately tried to keep their ratings, it was becoming obvious that it just wasn't what it used to be, no matter how hard it tried. And then, to my amazement, the recent reboot managed to surprise me. So how did a new wish redeem Fairly OddParents? Hi, I'm Ghost, your host with the most. Let's talk about it. Flanderization is defined as the process through which a complex fictional character's essential traits are oversimplified to the point where they constitute their entire personality. The coin was termed after Ned Flanders, the popular Simpsons character, slowly had his character destroyed over many, many seasons and turned into a caricature of himself. This process is something writers of big, long-term projects really need to be careful of. It's character undevelopment, if that makes any sense. You see this a lot in shows that just refuse to die. Family Guy, The Simpsons, SpongeBob. These shows often go through multiple teams of writers, artists, and even directors. The best metaphor I can give is it's like a game of telephone. As it's passed between different artists and writers, the message slowly warps and changes until it's nothing like how it started out as. And so we come to the Fairly OddParents. Here's an experiment. Let's take our core 3 characters from the original show and break them down to their very defining traits. Timmy Turner is selfish, but he has a heart of gold. He often acts without thinking about the consequences, but always fixes his mistakes and rights his wrongs, even when it means he will suffer in turn. He's creative, and though he's not academically the best, he's not stupid. His solutions aren't always obvious, but they'll work. Cosmo's a little stupid, but that's okay. He's not a complete moron, he's just not the brightest bulb in the light bulb factory. He likes to make people laugh, he's easily excited, and most of all, he absolutely adores his wife. Wanda loves him too, of course. Her and Cosmo are described as 2 halves of a whole idiot, so as you'd expect, she often takes a wish too literally or doesn't think about consequences. She's motherly and encouraging to both her boys and has a bit more of a head on her shoulders than both of them, despite the previous statement. Pretty nice chart we have here, right? Let's move down the timeline. Around season 4, my least favorite kind of joke got introduced. I hate my wife. Cosmo starts to make jokes about Wanda's body, her looks, her personality, all the time. So let's just... Of course, to match that energy, Wanda starts telling him off constantly, calling him a moron, nagging at him. And then, of course, for the joke, this then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And see what that's already done? That one type of joke has taken away the chunk of personality that comes with Wanda being a fairy, so now that interesting part of her disappears. And also, their relationship is now horrible. Watching it is actively painful. As time goes on, Cosmo and Wanda naturally become less funny because their default joke becomes, I hate my spouse. Now watching them interact is like hearing 2 people yell at each other in another room. Uncomfortable. So Timmy gets more screen time. And gets worse. Now Wanda's gone from the machine that makes the episode setups because she's no longer as prone to making mistakes. So Timmy gets even more thoughtless with his wishes. Sometimes he's outright vindictive with them. And for the sake of it, will sometimes let them get out of hand if it's benefiting him, even when it's hurting others. And of course, now Cosmo and Wanda are too busy trying to recapture what made them originally funny to fix the problem. And so Timmy reacts to that by becoming progressively meaner, and suddenly this is an entirely different TV show. Wow. Written out like that, you can probably guess why this show was no longer fun to watch. They tried to fix it with the introduction of new characters, ideas, whatever they could, and nothing fixed it because they were building off a rotten foundation. The reboots only made it worse because they were too attached to the original without understanding what made it interesting. The live actions especially, where the whole premise is he literally refuses to grow up and lose his fairies, despite being a literal adult in an elementary school class. If that isn't some kind of metaphor, I don't know what is. A new wish. Thank God, let it go. With the new main character's primary struggle literally being transitioning into a new phase of her life, we get a new city, a new cast, and they even let Cosmo and Wanda's kid grow up. Right from the start, it creates its own strong identity. It's not trying to be the original Fairly OddParents. It's trying to discover what a new wish is, even down to the intro, which pays homage to the original with a new funky beat. I had a great time watching the reboot, because from literally the first episode, it was made clear. Cosmo and Wanda were themselves again. They open on episode 1, trying and failing horrifically to seem like regular human neighbors. They're giggling over spam mail and doing obvious magic in the open because they're fairies and have no concept of human social norms. And can you feel that, sports fans? Can you feel the layers of revisions slowly peeling backwards? They also immediately show how much they love each other. They're goofy together. Over and over again, the show goes out of its way to show them in love, really having a good time. They see Hazel and choose to help her because she's a kid who needs some magic in her life, and that's their specialty. And they get to try new things, too. Perry adds a fantastic layer to their character, and I just love how the concept of having them in a human form more often lets the show explore the differences between humans and fairies, really showing off just how much they are different species. The burden of sense can fall on Perry when he's around, and they just let their relationship and goofy personalities come back front and center. It's the best decision I think they could have made, and I adore seeing them on screen. Now there's an entirely new cast to work with. Really, it's delightful to see what they do with them. Old characters, of course, still get their fair dues. Jorgen, Vicky, Mr. Crocker, the anti-fairies. They bring back a lot of the greats, but it's canonically been 20 years since the original show. They've changed, and discovering who they've become is really fun. Vicky's episode is quite possibly my favorite in the whole show because it manages to blend these classic creative characters with all of the new elements they've set up and mix in that style of overarching drama that they started for the show. A New Wish is exactly what a good reboot should be. Respectful of the original world while passionate about creating something new in it. Here's hoping to see more seasons out of it in the future. The Fairly OddParents fell because its characters did. What was once a fun, creative, and enjoyable series became an unfunny mess of ratings-bait episodes with such little thought or care that there are literal video essays on the topic. And that was always really disappointing to me. I'd keep up on what it was doing purely because, well, being mad about it made me less disappointed in something that I really cared about. But with A New Wish, I can finally say it. They fixed the Fairly OddParents. Even if it's not what it used to be, now it gets to be itself. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. If you've made it to the end, don't forget to like and subscribe. Did you know that Cosmo canonically is responsible for both sinking Atlantis and the volcano eruption in Pompeii? Many have died at his hands. Leave your favorite tidbit of fairy lore in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and good night.